Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Upskill podcast. We're on episode 3, that's right, of this fantastic interview series with Dickson Tang. I hope you're enjoying it so far. We've had lots of great feedback. Dickson, welcome back. Nice to see you again.
Hey, hi, Dave. Thanks for having me again. Great to see you again here. And I just want to say hello personally to you and to your audience. And I hope everything is well, right? Stay healthy, stay strong at this point of time. And good to be back on your show, Dave.
You bet. It's great to have you back. And that really is the topic of today in episode 3. The listener knows that you're all about creativity. You're all about helping businesses and individuals generate those ideas that are going to really help keep their businesses driving forward through this really difficult time with coronavirus and a lot of companies struggling to figure out a way to get through this time. You're based in Singapore. Have you heard of companies, desperately trying to figure out ways to get through this time?
Oh, I think every companies, every enterprise is doing whatever they can to survive. Right?
To survive,
for the time being, right? Because the logistic being disrupted, transportation being disrupted, right? A lot of public events, you can't organize it, right? Even if you go out to the shopping mall, restaurant, right? There's some limitation, most of the workforce, right? If possible, right? It will be turned into a virtual team or remote team, and for those jobs, right, you can't work from home, right? And there's a lot of safety precautions, safety measures in place, right? So I think a lot of business and enterprise, right, got disrupted big time right now.
Big time.
But my personal view is I stay positive, stay optimistic, because I believe in every single crisis, there will be some opportunity, right? So my advice to your community will be I know crisis is tough, right? It is tough. It is painful. But if you don't manage to change along the process of the crisis, that you will be even more painful, right? So let me repeat one more time, right? Crisis is painful. Not to change along the crisis is even more painful, right? So actually, when the crisis comes, it's time for you to change, and that's my message to your audience. And now you may be wondering, hey, Dickson, how to change, right? How to change? So how to change, right? Then you need to make sure that you and your team are creative and open-minded to new ideas, to new ways of working. Right? So you need to make sure that your team and your community and even yourself, right, need to be creative and open-minded. Right? So that's my advice for you guys for the time being.
Great advice at the very top of this episode. Totally agree. Couldn't agree with you more, Dickson. Companies are in survival mode right now. There's so much fear, and fear is crippling companies' ability to figure out solutions. So that's why they need to listen to you and the book that you came out with, and all the resources you're providing the listener on the Upskill podcast to break through this fear and to really find the way. Now is the time to stay positive, like you said. We cannot live in fear. There's a lot of opportunity out there. We just need to find it. Dickson, you've talked a lot about creativity on this podcast so far, and it's been really great. But let's go into how is creativity measured exactly? Could you start there?
Oh, great. Great question, Dave. A lot of time people ask me, hey, Dickson, different people have different definition on creativity, right? How can we so-called measure on creativity? Okay. Now, different people have different point of view on that, but personally, I prefer to use one yardstick. It's called the Ideas Fluency, right? Ideas Fluency, right? So what does that mean, right? That means the same way you are being measured, right, in your language, in your foreign language. Let's say if you're learning Spanish or learning English, right, how fluent is your English, how fluent is your Spanish. Likewise, how fluent is your ideas, right? How fluent
exactly
in you, right? Being comfortable with
it's like the IELTS band score. Like, for example, a lot of students, they require a 6 or 7 IELTS band score to be accepted to university. So yeah, I see.
Exactly. So I look at it from an ideas fluency perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Now, a lot of listeners thinking, they might think, okay, right, creativity is probably important, but they might think that it's something very intangible, something that's very kind of difficult to implement, difficult to track. So how can we talk to business leaders and people in companies to try and really see it as something that they can really track and benefit from? Yeah.
Sure.
There.
In order to address that, right, I actually have developed a model, right, called the Ideas Pyramid model, right? The Idea Pyramid model, right? So basically, it's like a triangle shape thing. As I mentioned to you, I look at creativity in terms of the ideas fluency, right? So in terms of ideas fluency, there are 4 levels, right? 4 levels. So at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So if you okay, so let me walk that through with your audience visually. Please. So if you have a pen or paper, what you can do is you can draw a big triangle, right? You can draw a big triangle. Then at the bottom of the triangle, right, it is the base level, right? I call it the level 1. Right? At the top of the triangle is level 4, right? So let me walk you through, right, from level 1 to level 4. Right? So let's see if I can do it here as well. So
great, that'd be great. Yeah, this is also on YouTube, so we can also see it, of course.
Yes,
that's going to be very useful. So if anyone's listening to this episode, if you want to see what Dickson is doing right now, he is holding up a piece of paper with a triangle or a pyramid. Okay. Go ahead.
So it's okay. So this is a rough sketch for the time being, but of course I have a more refined one on my YouTube channel. So feel free to go to my YouTube channel and check it out. Right. So now let us walk us through this together. So this is what I call the ideas pyramid, and there are 4 levels. At the base level is level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Okay. So level 1 is what I call no ideas.
Right, we don't want to be there.
No idea. Okay, so if you're in terms of your creativity, in terms of ideas fluency, so the base level is level 1, right? It's like what we call no ideas. All right. So you are in this level, right? When someone asks you a question, hey, do you have any ideas or do you have any opinion on this issue? Do you have anything? Then you ask the person, then the person try to avoid eye contact with you. You know that person is at that level, right?
Exactly.
So basically, like that person is like somehow don't have any opinion or lazy to think, right? So this is the level 1, right? No ideas. Okay. Then level 2 is what I call the limited idea. At limited idea, level 2. That means if you're at level 2, right, you have some ideas, not that many, but somehow you are a bit shy to share with others. You are not too sure. You have something in your mind, but you just not feel very comfortable to share. Right? So that's the level 2. Then level 3 is what I call the many ideas. Right? Level 3 is what I call many ideas. That means you have a lot of ideas, but you have a problem, right? You don't know how to get all these ideas organized. You felt a bit overwhelmed, and you don't know how to articulate and communicate these ideas because all these ideas just got jumbled up in your mind. Right? So that's the level 3. Yeah? And then level 4, right? Level 4 is what I call the power ideas, right? Power ideas. So what does that mean, right? That means you already managed to select maybe 1 or 2 powerful ideas, and then you go execute this one or two ideas, and probably you are benefiting from this one or two ideas. Maybe you are making profits, maybe you are improving your productivity, you are improving your creativity, you are improving your operation by running this one or two power ideas. So these are the 4 levels, right? So to recap, right, for your audience benefit, level 1 is what I call the no ideas. Level 2, limited ideas. Level 3, many ideas. Level 4, power ideas. Right? So if you want to be creative, it is your job, right, to help you and help your team, right, to move up from the level 1 all the way to level 4. And this is what I call the ideas fluency. Ideas fluency. You can definitely improve your ideas fluency from level 1 to level 4. Right? How? Right? How? Of course, you can refer, right, to my book, right, Leadership for Future Work, 9 Ways to Build Career Edge Over Robots with Human Creativity. So I have a 3I model covered in this book, and that can help you to move your ideas fluency from level 1 all the way up to level 4.
Fantastic. I have some questions. Right. When we talk about limited ideas, are you suggesting that the ideas in the company are lacking in quality and depth and real application? Or do you mean the amount of ideas, like the sheer quantity of ideas when you talk about limited ideas, level 2?
Sure. In this case, level 2, that means the easy way you look at this is like on a individual basis. That means you personally, you personally,
right?
Do you have no idea? Do you have many ideas? Or if you're in between, you have some limited idea. That means somehow you have some ideas, but you're not too sure. You are not too sure if this is a good idea or not, and you don't want to. Right? So I think an easier way for you to look at it is to put it in your own perspective, right? So that will be
So that's a process of self-reflection, and on one side, but on the other side, if there is somebody in HR, a senior leader, even learning and development, they need to be kind of looking at their team members and taking stock and seeing where they're at.
Exactly. So if you're talking about organization or workplace, because a team or workplace is a collection of people, right? So let's say you have 10 team members, right? And look at your 10 team members, right? Where are they sitting at? Are they mostly sitting at the level 1, or are they mostly sitting at the level 4, right? So you can kind of gauge them, like qualitatively based on your observation. And then you will know what do you need to do next, right? So if majority of your team member they are at the level 1, then what you need to do is you need to get them to really take some effort, right, to think, right, to ideate, right? And if majority of your team member they are at the level 4, right, then it's good for you, right? Then it's good for you, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that, right, you know what they are doing, right? Because you don't want majority of a team member, they already go and run with their ideas, and they already execute ideas, and you don't know what's going on, right? So
exactly. I think this is something that companies now have to act on quickly, because as you said, we are in survival mode now, and we need to help companies to act on implementing, first of all, generating quality ideas. So your level 3 was about many ideas, right? We need to get from 2 to 3, and we need to turn those many ideas into fastly executing on plans. And like today, I was in a coffee shop, and I heard a couple of consultants, American consultants, talking on a conference call with a Vietnamese partner, trying to shuffle around, trying to readjust their business model for e-commerce. So there's a lot of these things taking place in Vietnam and all over the world. Companies are having to, on the fly, in the moment, they're trying to come up with, how do we rearrange the shopping cart for our e-commerce platform? How do we maybe come up with different business model approaches, right? So there's a lot of big structural changes that businesses are going through right now, and they need to figure out which ideas are going to work and which ideas that they can try.
Exactly. So I think the faster you can move yourself and also your team from the base of the ideas pyramid to the top, right? That will be great. And that's why I think your ability, right, to work with ideas, your ability to generate ideas, your ability to organize and prioritize your ideas, and your ability to execute on ideas, super important, especially at now, right, at this point of time. So I think this is a good time for business leader to revisit their business model, maybe to change the business model, or even bring some massive changes to the business model, right? So at this point of time, right, your ability, right, to generate ideas, to prioritize ideas, to execute ideas, super important, right? So that's why I urge business leaders, you need to act fast, and you need to encourage your team, right, to come up with new ideas. Totally. So this is the best time for you to change your business model, to pivot your business model, right? So what you need to do is you need to be more hardworking with ideas, right? So time for you to sit down with your team and start cracking ideas. Yeah.
Love it. Start cracking ideas. Don't listen to this podcast anymore. Get straight to work and start. Right?
I think if you are listening to this podcast right now, okay, so maybe you would like to grab something like maybe a Post-it or a piece of paper or pen and pencil or iPad or Evernote or whatever, right? Just grab some tools, right? So that you can jot down some ideas along the process. I stop here for 10 seconds, right? So let you grab a piece of paper or Post-it or something.
Exactly. Now, let's continue while the listener does that. And from your book, I can tell, there are quite a lot of different idea generation methods. I'm sure the listener is very curious to know at least one way in which they can generate ideas for themselves and as an organization. Could you share with us one method?
Oh, sure. Definitely. Your ability to generate ideas are super important. And of course, there are many, many ways to generate ideas. So in this podcast, let me share with you one powerful way to generate ideas. Right? One powerful way to generate ideas is to use this method of combination, right? Combination or addition. Right? Some people call it combination, some people call it addition. Right? So let me explain to you. Right? So the essence is like you take A and B together, A plus B, or A and B, or A combined with B. Then you got C, right? So A and B, right? You got C. So for example, right? If you combine a can of Coca-Cola with some cherries, right? What will you have? Like a can of Coca-Cola and some cherries. You combine, then you have a new product called Cherry Coke.
Cherry Coke.
Yeah. So this is, you combine A and B, right? You have C. So for example, right? If in your kitchen, right? You combine a spoon and a fork, right? A spoon and a fork, right? A is a spoon, B is a fork. You combine, what you will have is what we call the spork, right?
Spork. Yeah, I know it. I've used it before. Yeah.
Yeah. So which is very handy, right? Especially if you go camping and go picnic, right? So this is a spork, right? So it's a combination of spoon and a fork, right? So A plus B equal to C. Now, Dickson, some people may say, "Hey, Dickson, we are not in a product company. Maybe we are in the services on consulting." Okay, so the essence is still the same, right? You take A and B together, you got C, right? So for example, right? Let's say if you are a business consulting company, right? So let's say you are a consulting firm on digital marketing, right? So A, you are offering digital marketing solution, and then you can pick a B, right? B could be, let's focus on high schools, right? Let's focus on high school. Then you have a new product offering. It's called digital marketing for high school administration, to help them to get more students, right? So that is a thing. Instantly, you got a new product or services revenue stream, right? So you take A and B together, you got C.
But also at the same time, Dickson, there are the team might be quite a large team and spread remotely. And now companies, the problem with companies at the moment, as you know, because of the coronavirus, is that now a lot of workers are working from home and they don't see each other at the office anymore. And now they still need to solve problems. They still need to come up with ways to keep the business going. How do we help companies continue to generate these ideas? Like you said, this, combining their ideas collectively, because maybe they're in different remote teams. Like, how can we manage and facilitate that?
Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Good question, Dave. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think that, okay, running an ideation session or running a brainstorming session is very easy, right? People may think that it's easy, but actually, it's not that easy. It involves a lot of skills. And that's why preferably, I mean, like, if you can afford like a facilitator to help your team, right, that would be the best. Or if you can groom one of your internal team members as a facilitator, right, that would be good, right? So so how can you drive, right, creativity, and how can you drive the ideation process? Given that nowadays a lot of people are working remotely, so that requires the skills of a good facilitator. So I believe a good facilitator can work effectively in a face-to-face environment as well as in a virtual remote working environment. Okay, now for those of you who are listening to this, let me share with you a quick tips on how to drive the ideation process, right, in a remote virtual environment.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to use a combination of what I call the synchronous mode and asynchronous mode. Right? Let me repeat: using a combination of synchronous mode and asynchronous mode. Okay, so what does that mean? Right? Synchronous mode meaning that you maybe plan ahead and allocate a time slot. Right? Let's say maybe next Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. You prepare in advance and get everybody on board virtually at that period. Okay, so you may use like WebEx or Zoom or what other platform, so you get everybody on the same virtual space at the same time and do a synchronous discussion and ideation process. Right? So that is one mode of doing ideation, is using this synchronous method. Now the other one is what I call the asynchronous method. Asynchronous meaning that you don't need to get everybody at the same time virtually, but you give them a small task. You can say, hey guys, I need you guys to come up with 3 ideas, right, by end of this Thursday, 5 p.m. Can you email to me, or can you contribute to this like a Dropbox, or can you contribute to this Google document, blah, blah, blah. Right? So this is an asynchronous ideation method. Now, why I say a good facilitator need to use both, because for some people, especially Asian employees, sometimes they are not that comfortable sharing ideas in the public, especially if the boss or senior member of the team is there. They don't feel safe and comfortable, right, sharing idea in a synchronous environment. Right? So that's the value of asynchronous mode of ideation came in, because people will feel more comfortable sharing ideas because they are not being monitored on the spot. Right? So they can contribute ideas whenever they feel like to. Right? So that's the beauty of a asynchronous mode. Right? But of course, at the same time, you also need synchronous mode, right? To energize everybody at the same time, so that you can do some like hitchhiking, ideas brainstorming at the same time. Make use of the technology that is available to you, and make sure that this technology serve your purpose.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really useful, I think. So asynchronous, just to review there. So these are individual tasks, right?
Yeah. So I think for the benefit of your audience, so probably I'm sure you will put it in the show notes, right? So what is synchronous mode and what is synchronous mode, right? So yeah.
How about human resources? How does it have to change, and how is it becoming a supportive role for businesses to manage everything, in your opinion, Dickson?
Sure. I think for human resources leaders, at this point of time, because of this virus outbreak situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the HR is already very busy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I know, because I work a lot with HR leaders like CHROs, and they say that, oh, because of like different local government policy, different national government policy, they need to like address all these like employment, employee leave of absence issue. So they are super busy.
That's right.
But having said that, right, moving forward, I would suggest like HR leader to do two things. So HR leader actually can leverage on this current situation to do two things, right? Number one is to transform the HR team, to transform the HR team. So what does that mean, right? Maybe in the past, right, without the virus outbreak, right, so business as usual, so you have some standard operating procedures in place, but now with the virus came in, a lot of traditional steps and processes might not be valid anymore, right? So it's time for you to revisit all this policy, and also, right, need to incorporate this kind of like virtual working condition, right, into your HR policies agenda. So this is my suggestion number one to the HR leader right now. Take this opportunity to transform your HR team by revisiting the HR policy, revisit the HR workflow, and also, right, encourage your HR team members, right, to be in this transformation process. Right? So that's the advice number one, right, to the HR leader. And advice number two I want to share with the HR leader is now this is also a time, right, to empower your HR team as well as to the larger workforce, to be more creative, to be more open-minded to changes, right? Because this is actually a good context, a good situation, right, for you to drive the creativity, innovation, and open-mindedness, right? Because during the crisis, right, your ability to think out of the box, right, is even more important. Right? So in summary, suggestion to HR leader, number one, okay, take this opportunity to transform the HR team, to transform the HR operation with some new processes, new policies in place. Number two, drive the HR team and the workforce to be more creative and open-minded.
Do you think these are permanent changes?
Okay. Great question. Well, I'm not a medically trained expert, so I can't advise like how long this virus will stay. But I personally believe, right, this virus won't be permanent, because with advances in medical technology, right, so we might be able to find solution, right?
And there are solutions currently at the moment that are working, which is really positive.
Exactly. So personally, I think the virus won't be permanent, but the impact on the organization is permanent, right? The impact on the organization is permanent. So for example, right, nowadays a lot of organization, right, they are starting to have this kind of like hybrid model, right? It's an online offline model, right? Whether you're a retailer, you need to embrace online offline. Whether you're a logistic company, you need to embrace online offline. Whether you're HR department, you need to embrace like online offline, and so on and so forth. So I would say this hybrid model, online offline, will be the new norm. Right? So the new norm will be a combination of both online and offline.
Yeah, interesting. So the hybrid model is now emerging as the new norm, like you said. I think that's very, very noteworthy. I think you had an example of how they're keeping their businesses afloat. Yeah.
I mean, great. I mean, like today, the focus of this episode for today is all about ideas, about ideas generation. I believe that in every single crisis, there's opportunity, right? So it's now for you, right, to activate your creative ideas inside your brain, and also activate your team's, right, creative ideas. Okay, let me give you an example, right? Or let me give your audience an example. Let's imagine this. Right? Let's imagine this. You are running an offline bookshop, okay, in a shopping mall. Okay, so let's say you sell books and magazines, right, you run a bookstore in a retail shopping mall. Okay, let's say you run this bookshop. Let's say in China. Okay, so let's say in China, as you know, right, China is deeply impacted by this like virus thing, right? So if you are the business leader, right, of a book, like a retail physical bookstore in a shopping mall, what will you do to survive now? Okay, so maybe I pause here for 10 seconds. Imagine you are the business owner
Interactive.
of a physical bookstore in a shopping mall in China. Okay, now business badly affected because nobody going out.
Exactly.
How do you survive? Okay, so now it's time, right, for you to activate your creativity, right? Do creativity. And today I mentioned about, right, one way you can generate idea is to use this combination method A and B, right, equals C, right? A plus B equals C. So in this case, right, if you're a retail bookshop, what you can do is you can actually combine A, right, your books, with B. B is something like a Netflix subscription model, right? Netflix subscription model. And then you can create a product, right, called book subscription service, right? For example, right? So every month, maybe you just curate 2 books based on your customers' preference and profile, the age group, income group, and so on and so forth. And then you just provide this subscription service. So that means like you subscribe to this service, our bookshop send you 2 books every month without fail based on your preference. Right now, you may not know what books you are getting, but that is the beauty of the subscription, right? It is kind of like give you a surprise, right? So if you can combine the books with B, right, a Netflix subscription model, right, then you got C, right, which is like a book subscription model.
Very creative, yeah.
So that is could be a new revenue stream for you.
Yeah, that's the point. It's about looking at new revenue streams.
Exactly. And another thing, right, you can do, right, as a bookstore owner, like you take your books, and then A is your book, B is maybe something like, those are food delivery service like Food Panda, Uber Eats, whatever. So you combine your books with those like food delivery service, and then you got C, right, which is like putting your book on the food menu.
That's interesting.
Food delivery service. So that means like when after people order the meal, after order the fried rice, fried noodle, pizza, whatever, right? Then they want to read a book, right? So maybe you can just click. So if you can combine A, your books, with B, right, the food delivery service, then you can actually have a new model, right? Like a book on the food menu.
And this is something that I'm very curious about as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as an individual person myself, is that what I have seen in traditional business over many years is that companies are very focused on themselves and they don't look outwards to how they can position their product and service offerings with another brand or another company. And right now, that is actually, in my opinion, that's really what's needed. Companies need to look outside of themselves to reach out to other people, to do collaborations with, to see how they can work their products and services together in order to survive this time.
Exactly. So that's why the ability to think and to generate ideas is super important. And just now I shared with you this powerful idea generation method, right? A and B equals C. And the example I gave you just now, right, are exactly happening right now in China. Right? So in China, there's a bookstore. They combine the book, right, with the Netflix model. Then they offer a book subscription model. Okay. Because people are not coming to the bookshop, but they package it in a subscription then to your home. The other one is a bookstore in China, right? They team up with those food delivery services and then put the book on the food menu.
That's the way to go.
Order, okay, they will come together to your home, right? So that is how, right, a creative idea generation method, right, is being applied live, especially at this moment of the virus.
On one side, they're saying, to survive this time, we need to save on our marketing and advertising expenses, which is to many degrees, it's very true, that they have to, of course, they have to watch their budget. Of course, they have to be very careful how they allocate resources at this time. But that does not mean that they should stop marketing and partnership activities, that they should actually be more proactive with creativity, with your approach, in using their budget more effectively and more laser targeted, right?
Exactly. So it's like it's time, right, for you to revisit your same old thing, right?
Yeah.
It may work or it may not work anymore, right? So time for you to do a stock take.
Yeah.
If you need to do some
Totally.
Do some changes, and how can you empower your team, right, to go through the changes, right?
Yeah.
Of course, is to develop the creativity ability.
Please take action, listener.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those listeners who are already like grabbing a pen, a pencil, or Post-it, right? So time for you to jot down some ideas. So. Is
there anything else that you'd like to add, Dickson, at this time?
Oh, okay. So I think my concluding remarks is it is time for you to embrace the future. How, right? By embrace creativity, right? So it's time for you to embrace the future, and it is also time for you to embrace creativity. So to the listener and to your community, I would urge them, right, to take action right now, okay, to develop something what I call the future ready creativity, right? Future ready creativity, so that your team and also yourself, right, will be able to come up with creative ideas, right, towards the future, right? So for those of you who are suffering somehow because of this like virus outbreak, my message is like, stay positive, stay strong. Time to use your creativity to map out the future. How can people get in touch with you, Dickson? Oh, hi. That's a great question. I am on LinkedIn, and I'm also have a YouTube channel, Dickson Tang, so you can check that out and subscribe. And also I have a personal website called DicksonTang.me. So it is DicksonTang.me. Yes, and you had some downloadable links, files as well. Could you go through those as well? Yeah. I actually have prepared some specific resources for your audience, especially those in the human resources, HR. I have some resources on creative human capital. So feel free to download. I'm here to help you. I definitely would like to share my research and my resources with you, right? So I'm sure you will put the link somewhere, right? So feel free to grab that link and download the resources. Yeah, happy to help. Great. Thank you so much, Dickson. All the best to you. Success. You're doing fantastic things, and bye for now. Take care. Thank you, Dave. Great having me here and great to be on your show. Cheers. Fantastic. Bye for now.